Guys, hi there, it's Skip here, and welcome to Giveaway January, which is leading us up to Supercharge Life, which, as you know, is now a giveaway. So you can come there on January 30th and 31st, absolutely free of charge, and really help to transform the way that you live your life with health as the foundation. And as you know, in these Giveaway January, in the Hangouts, I'm really selecting people that I really believe are making such a big difference in the world, with grace, with elegance, where we're not making ourselves right and other people wrong, and their lives are dedicated to producing products, goods, services that are really helping people take their life from whatever level they're at up to another level. And who I'm going to be bringing on next, the word wonder just comes up in every possible way. She's got wonder workouts, wonder events, wonder project camps. She's doing things with charity. She's got her own sanctuary. And the latest projects that she's involved with are quite astronomical. And from a business point of view, the figures are out of this world. And this has all come from the essence of who she is. So before I introduce her, please tune into her in a way that you're just open to what she's saying, because the wisdom that's going to come out of her in this next 30 or 40 minutes can really help serve you at the highest level. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about Wonder Woman herself. It's April Chandler.
Hey. Wow, that's what I call an introduction. I think I should keep that recording and use that for all my products. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you, Skip, for having me on your Hangout.
Absolute pleasure. So first of all, before we even get into anything, I mean, please tell us just a very quick sort of history of, you know, because there might be some people on here that actually don't know who you are, and you've got, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers all over the world. So what is it you do, and why do you do what you do?
I come from a health and wellness background, and I used to compete in the Navy in triathlons and, you know, other sports. And I just really have embraced sport from a very young age. That was really my grounding, my foundation. I think if I didn't have that, I could have quite easily ended up in prison a few times. And, you know, but sport really kept me on the straight and narrow. And I think when you have sort of sport or something like that, that really, like, you know, your heart and everything is all like passionate about it, it just, it's amazing. And I think with that, it's allowed me to really think about other things that would add to that, i.e. the books, events, you know, traveling to America and working at Sony studios and stuff like that, which I've done. And, you know, as you said, you know, I've got all my projects, all of them around the whole basis of what I am, my ethos, my ethics, which is to be good to the environment, to be good to animals, good to ourselves, good to other people. And I really follow that. I don't sort of say one thing in front of people and then I go home and live different. I actually live that way 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. And I think that's why I'm happy. It's not, I don't really see it as a sort of a failure or a success. I'm happy doing what I do, being who I am.
And this is one of the things that I really want you guys to get from her. She's somebody who has crazy high standards. She has huge visions, and we're now about to start to get into some of the wondrous things that she's doing. And we're talking TV stuff. We're talking products that you're going to be seeing in the supermarkets. We're talking everything she does. It really does serve her, so she gets to feel good in the process, but it also serves her family. You know, she's a mother, great mother. I've had the fortune of meeting, you know, your own flesh and blood in you know, in your children, and amazing kids. You know, you're talking kids that their brains are switched on, but they've got something different. There's not that what most children have nowadays. And I know this comes down to the lifestyle that you've introduced them to. You haven't said you should be living this way. You let them choose themselves. Yeah. And this is one of your gifts where you really allow people to find their own journey through life. So why are you doing what you're doing now?
Well, I think, like you said, you know, being a mother, it makes you think slightly differently. You know, I want to leave them with something that they can carry on for themselves and their children way after I've gone. And, you know, if as a parent, I see it as my job to open their eyes to the possibilities. You know, that it's not everything set in stone because the government say a certain thing or schools say a certain thing. It's more, how do they feel about it? You know, I open that door for them. They cross it and go in when they're ready. All mine have chosen, obviously, to live on a plant-based diet. All started with my now 9-year-old, who was 6 at the time, when he said, he woke up one morning and said, I don't want to eat meat anymore. And I said, why not? And he says, my tummy told me not to. So he knew that he did not want to eat it. And I supported that. And I took that journey with him. Now, I was a vegetarian years ago, and I did try to be vegan when I was at university. But that was so long ago that, you know, I couldn't cook even in those days. And the only thing that I could get at university was chips. So eventually you kind of end up going off the vegan track, because everywhere you go, there's nothing. But now it's so many things that you can have, you know, you go restaurants, and so much easier. But we do a lot, as a family, we do a lot of cooking. You know, they understand, you know, why we use a dairy-free milk and a cream when we make certain cakes or puddings or main meals. And they understand, you know, what it's like to have animals, because we have a Meadows Animal Sanctuary, which is my daughter's name. And, you know, they look after the animals. They understand that they've got feelings too. They're not just there to serve us. We're here to live in harmony. I don't want to sound a bit like a hippie in that sort of statement, but, you know, I don't think we have the right just to eat what we want just because we can. You know,
I was on a call with David Hamilton earlier, and he really mentioned something. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I've sort of lost you a little bit.
Do you have headphones?
I do, but I can. Yeah, but I can.
I'm getting me repeated back from your speakers.
Okay.
And he mentioned to me that the new currency is empathy. And when he said that, I just thought, wow, this is awesome, because when we have that compassion and we have that empathy for the place that we walk on the planet, things change in our reality. Our frequency changes, our vibration changes. What we start to attract in our life is completely different. And, you know, having your own, you know, sanctuary, what better way to teach kids about the truth about animals? Because I really believe that, you know, if people did see what was going on behind the doors of slaughterhouses, a lot less people, or sorry, a lot more people would stop eating meat. Yeah. And this is not one of those blogs where I want to get into that, because I want to get into what you've got coming up, because one of the great things about what you do is you can meet people where they're at and then give them healthier alternatives. And you've got this book coming up that you're going to be releasing, and it's a cocktail book. And I know that, you know, we've just gotten in, you know, we've just passed like Christmas and New Year, and we all know that the product of decay, i.e. alcohol, which for most people, when it's drunk in the way that it's served to them, it can have harmful effects on the body. And we've got all the Christmas parties, the office parties, and we've got Christmas, and there's drinking around the table. Then we've got New Year's, and it comes in mass. But what you've done is you've said, right, okay, well, how about producing a book where I'm showing people how to do this stuff in a healthy way? And as I was going through the book and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, you've actually really dug out some amazing history, which I have no doubt that people who buy the book, as they read into the book, and not just how to do certain cocktails, the history around alcohol and cocktails and what is used in the original form, not how it's used in most convenient ways it's sold now, but how it was produced in its original form, is actually really healthy and good for you. So, I mean, please tell us some bits on that. You know, how can a cocktail be healthy?
Well, Wonder Cocktails, you know, really came because as you know, I bought a farm last year. And when I went to view the farm, it also had a brewery with it. And I was thinking, a brewery, like what am I going to do with a brewery? I'm health guru, you know, I can't be like making beer. That's crazy. But it was when I learned about how the beer is made, no nasties in it, all organic, natural products, and then like the ingredients are all high quality. I was like, so hang on a minute, the beer actually can be quite good for you. And then I learned to make it, and I thought, you know, there is a difference between beers across the world. You get some that are just all synthetic chemicals, they don't serve you whatsoever. And then you get others that actually are made with the finest ingredients. And, you know, beer has been going on for over 6,000 years. And the live yeast, the yeast in it is actually quite good for you. And if you see some of the people that work in real, true craft beer breweries.
Sorry to interrupt on that, but when I know at that point some people's brains are going to be going, hang on a minute, how can yeast be good for you? Because isn't yeast going to produce candida and stuff like that? For the people where brains where they went there, please just address that subject.
Yeast eats all the sugar. So once you've eaten all the sugar's gone, actually you get a healthier product. I think when people think about yeast, they're talking about all the synthetic yeast that you get, which is produced on, like, you know, synthetic chemicals or mass produced, and it's not live, and therefore it's not going to help you. But actually, if you have a live yeast which eats all the sugars, then what you're going to be left with is actually good flavors and good ingredients and a good quality drink.
Cool.
So I'm not professing for 1 second telling everyone, oh, go and drink like loads and loads of craft beer now. What I'm saying is that if you're going to drink, you know, drink less, but drink better. You know, that's what it comes down to. And because alcohol is a worldwide business, after I learned to make the beer, I was like, ding, ding, ding. Oh, I've got to do a cocktail book. I have to. And it took actually a year, seriously. I thought, wow, it'd be done and dusted in 3 months. But no, because when you actually start to get into it and you understand about how alcohol is made, and you realize that most alcohol, like gin, all of them were made as medicines. Gin was actually discovered in Holland. And at the time, the professor that was actually trying to find a cure for a kidney problem, something that was a diuretic that was cheap. And he came up with what they call is juniper, and the French name for juniper berries, because that's what gin's made of, that's the main ingredient, was Geneva, and that's the French name. And then over years, obviously the British took gin over and they abbreviated the Geneva to gin. And that's how gin became an alcohol. But it actually, most alcohols have all started off as a medicine. And if it stayed within the correct processing system, then actually it would have some health benefits. But what's happened is that because it's become a massive, massive business worldwide, profits, you know, get people as drunk as possible, the flavor is gone, and also the quality ingredients have gone. But what I did is I located really, really good ethical breweries, distilleries around the world, because there is still quite a few people that actually feel the same way as we do, that actually we're not going to compromise on our products, we're not going to compromise on the ingredients just to get, you know, a contract with so-and-so at the cheapest price. So, you know, there is some really good alcohol brands out there, and I have found them and I've used them. And every brand that I've used within the book is really good quality. They don't use animal products in the fining process. I mean, people are shocked to find out that Campari, the reason they've got that colour is because they crush cochineal bugs to achieve that red. Now, on the back of the Campari bottle, do you know what it says? Colouring. Colouring. If they put in small prints, actually, this is colouring from the cochineal bug that we've crushed millions of to get this. No one would drink it. Who would want to drink that? So it's very clever labelling on their part. And I think that it's time that people really, just like food, they should really, really be some laws tighter on labelling for alcohol. In some Mediterranean countries, they use bull's blood in their wine. Now, it's banned in Europe, but it's not banned somewhere else. So again, they're not going to specify that on the bottle. So people go and they see a bottle of wine and go, ooh, that would be nice. And not realizing they're actually drinking bull's blood. in that wine.
I mean, I think that there's no doubt in any now that when... Sorry, have you got headphones? Because I keep hearing me feeding back. It's like a double...
In a hotel in London. I live in France and I didn't bring them.
Okay. So when we go and we can, we buy anything, whether it's food, whether it's drink, something that we're going to take into the human body, we're really going through a shift now where we're realizing that the gimmick stuff isn't working, and it doesn't even work if you can go and sell it cheap, because at the end of the day, just because you're buying it cheap, the only thing that we have to live with is our bodies. And it's with us from the day we're born until the day we pass. So surely it makes sense for us to at least be responsible for what's going inside of us. So we're not going to break down out of our own, poor lifestyle choices. And one of the other things that, as I was, going through your book, what popped up in my mind was, this is going to be so much fun for people to actually get together to say, right, let's make some of these cocktails. Let's see how a healthy cocktail can taste.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that when you start to use ingredients, it's like, we do this with food, where, we'll take people over to, any one of the retreats where their taste buds change. When people start to stop being numb to life and they stop eating foods that are numbing their senses, and they stop making lifestyle choices where they can literally start to wake up inside their body. And this is really what I believe the awakening is, so that we can be awake and be conscious of really what's going on, because our body and our senses are giving us this stuff, that your smell changes, your taste changes, how you absorb information changes, how you look at situations change, that through these cocktails. So when we get people eating food, it's like we can give them some basic food and they'd be like, I never knew a tomato tasted like this. I never knew a piece of food tasted like this. And it's because they've changed. And you're going to, I really can see that you can do the same thing with these cocktails, where people are used to drinking cocktails, but a lot of the trap with cocktails, you just see the white processed sugar that gets dumped into a lot of these cocktails, and a lot of what's going in it isn't serving anyone at all. And what you've done is you've said, okay, well, you're not going to stop people having cocktails. You're not going to stop people drinking beer and champagne and all these drinks. So here's a solution that can actually get them experimenting on these drinks. Now, one of the things I love that you've done is you've even gone into so much detail where there are certain milks that are put into certain cocktails. You're even showing people here how to make their own milks. I mean, you've really gone into detail.
Yeah. So if you're going to use, some cocktails use, the dairy milk and that whipped cream stuff, the cans, which is like so nasty that you can't even, the thought of putting that is like, ugh.
But here's the thing, nasty to us, there was a time, I remember, and it was the days when I used to compete gymnastics, where my coach said to me, yeah, exactly. Where he said to me, Skip, you just need to eat 5,000 calories a day. It doesn't matter what it is. So I'll be just putting it in. And then I loved it. And here's the weird thing.
Of course, that's what you used to.
Yeah, now as we change, I couldn't go anywhere near that stuff now. And this is what I want people to understand, that as you change, you're going to realize how badly we've been programmed. And this is not me judging anyone at all. This is just saying, guys, start to really let the planet feed you with the stuff that's going to turn you back onto life. So please tell us about these milks and what things you're using as the mixers.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I say in the book is that my book is a guide to help people start on their what I call sort of infusion of flavors. So I'm not saying, because spirit trends come and go, but if you can understand flavors and you can understand how to create a cocktail, yes, you've got the classic recipes, but if you might taste something and go, oh, actually, I'm going to add a little bit more of this. Because the more you get used to flavors, the easier it is to be able to experiment. And as you said, the best way to do that is actually by keeping things natural. And also, you become a bit of a flavor snob, I have to say, where if you taste a cocktail that hasn't got really good ingredients in, like they use pasteurized orange juice or tomato juice or whatever, it really doesn't taste good. And I could not drink that. So, what I'm trying to do is not just encourage everyday people to make drinks at home. I'm trying to encourage the bars and hotels to start thinking about actually why not make your mixes from scratch. How long does it take to juice some orange juice? You can do it in a few seconds by hand if you need to. You know, make your own Angostura bitters. Yes, it takes 3 weeks to make, I have to confess, but not every day. You just start, you know, you do it over a period of 3 weeks, but that will then last you for a year. So you don't need to buy a pre-made Angostura bitters or any of that stuff. You can make it all, and I cover all of that in the book. But in regards to the milks, you know, I felt it was quite important to cover the mixes, because every cocktail book I've ever seen only covers cocktails. And what I've done is I've included essential oils and also freshly made mixes, flavorings, because that's where you get really good flavor and cocktails, and you get really good health benefits. So yes, you know, drink, have fun, party, enjoy your life. No one's saying stay at home and be boring, and, you know, not go out and party and stuff. But, you know, as you said, you know, your body, if you keep drinking, and sorry, just to go back a second, is that some companies, they sort of, or some people think that all vodkas are the same because that's how it's been marketed. So like, oh, Smirnoff, a Grey Goose, Winter Palace vodka, all of these are apparently the same, but actually they're not, because some will distill their vodka 7 times and use the best water on the planet to actually get that vodka, and that means it's going to be better for you. Whereas other vodkas use the cheapest water and the cheapest ingredients. So of course, that's not going to be as good for you. So if you're going to use a brand, a vodka or whiskey or something like that, it's important to choose one that actually is being made really, really well. And then of course, with your mixers, then you, you know, you make everything from scratch. So for example, some cocktails require whipped cream. Now, if you need whipped cream, you're going to need to know how to make whipped cream, and to make whipped cream, you're going to need to know how to make the milk. So that's sort of how it expanded into this sort of whole mixers section. So there is that the almond milk.
Subject, I really want people to, because there will be some people listening to this. Oh, sorry, the volume went on. There will be some people listening to this thinking, "Oh my God, making my own milks, making my own cream. Nah, it's too much of a headache for me. I just want the convenience." But I want people to really get this, that, as April just said, that when your taste buds change, your body will actually let you know, is this serving me or not? And when you get to the point where the intelligence, the wisdom that's in the body actually says, this is quality, this is not, then what you're doing is you're so vibrating, or you're gliding through life at a different level, because now you're not numb anymore. And yes, we all do want to live a life of convenience, but when it comes to nutrition, you want to be making sure, or anything that's going inside the human body, you've got to be doing that at the highest level, because if you want to get the best out of life, it comes down to the quality of the decisions that we make on a daily basis. And if we're going to decide, let's have a cocktail, I mean, making your own milks. I mean, you know, here at the house now, I don't go out and buy milk anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to make your own milk. It's like 5 minutes. You know, people don't realize how quick but I mean, I've got ice cream recipes within the book, but again, and they're not that difficult to make. One I've done by machine, one I've done by hand, so I can show you the comparison, and they're so easy to make. But again, because people go, oh my gosh, no, I can't make that for whatever reason, I've actually put a little note in the book on the ice cream page saying, look, if for whatever reason you can't make this ice cream, then at least buy a non-GMO, and I've got the Boja Boja ice cream in there as a recommended. So they were happy to contribute one of their photographs for the book, because again, even though ice cream and cocktails, you think, well, what's the connection? Because some cocktails do require ice cream, it's better for people to know which brand to buy than not to buy. I'm not saying to anyone, oh, you know, you have to only make your own mixes, your own milks, your own ice cream every time you make a cocktail. But if you've got the recipes there, then when you are ready, you can make one. And when you make one, you might decide to make another one. And then before you know it, you've built up a whole repertoire of recipes. And then that's how you change. And that's how you become healthier.
Yeah, and it's really fun getting hands on this stuff. Where,
especially when you're drinking the cocktails.
But, you know, touching the food, preparing the food, going through the process where you're actually in that creative flow, it reconnects you to the stuff where you're like, okay, I'm actually going to make better decisions from now on, because the flavor change where people will make their own cocktail at home and they'll taste what a real cocktail tastes like without the preservatives, without the herbicides, the pesticides, the fungicides, without any of those chemicals sprayed on them.
Yeah.
In that stuff, they're going to taste something different. And then when they go back and they might taste a cocktail somewhere else, they're going to get and understand how we can become poisoned by enjoying certain parts of life. And they're also going to be able to learn how to navigate around that stuff, because what I really believe is now the extremes are separating, and the healthier are getting healthier, and the people are talking amongst these environments, and they're finding their leaders, or they're finding the people they want to follow, and the ones that aren't, they're separated. And unfortunately, if you're not in alignment with the planet and life and what is for the greater good, it's only a matter of time before that thing gets burnt out.
Yeah,
and
but that's why I'm trying to, you know, I've really targeted this to the general population and not, you know, the vegan community per se, even though obviously within the book I do reference vegan alcohol, vegan recipes. There's no animal products. It's not been any of the wine I've used, any of the vodkas, nothing like that has been found through animals, which it does happen. Even sugar, people don't realize that white sugar, it is sometimes found through charcoal bones, animal bones. So I recommend like what sugars to use, and also like golden caster sugar, so the unrefined sugars, because the unrefined sugars actually have got benefits. They've got nutrients. It's when they process all the other stuff, you know, which you get in a cocktail bar or a pub or something, that actually becomes, it's not very good for you. But I added like aloe vera. I used a really good aloe vera gel in my cocktails, and people will think, really? I mean, I buy aloe vera. Now, I have to be honest, when I drink it on its own, it tastes absolutely disgusting. I can't lie. It is really like, oh, gosh, this stuff, can it really be that good for you, tasting like this? But it is almost pure aloe vera. It's got nothing in it, no chemicals in that stuff, which actually changes the taste. But because it's so bad for me to drink, that's why I add it to cocktails. I add it to mixers, I add it to juice. So I'm getting the benefits of the aloe vera, but I can't really taste it. And essential oils, we all know the importance of essential oils. I've put a whole section on essential oils because I use essential oils in the cocktails as well. So you might see in my recipes that I've put like a 1 drop of basil essential oil or 1 drop of lavender, and people think that's a bit of a weird combination, but it really adds to the flavors and it's really good for you. So you're getting, you know, the flavors of the cocktail and the fun, but also the benefits of the essential oils and aloe vera gel, etc.
Wow. I love it. Totally. Now, there is one other thing that you've got as well, which from a business point of view, because I just want people to understand how, when you get plugged into life, and it means that there's no resistance to the planet, there's no resistance to animals, and you're in flow with that, how opportunities come up, because there's a lot of people out there where they feel that, oh God, life's against me, or life is too hard, and they're the ones who are causing the resistance. And what I've learned about life is when we really let go of the resistance, depending on what we're putting out there, can really depend on what opportunities come up.
Yes.
And I'm going to go into your beer, because you've done an amazing deal where this has all come up. It wasn't planned. It wasn't even on your radar 12 months ago. And you must be striking up one of the biggest deals when it comes to organic beer ever done in this country with the supermarkets. So please tell people, you know, what is the deal? You know, where are they going to be able to find your beer? Because again, there's a lot of beer drinkers out there, and we tapped on it at the beginning of the conversation, where beer's been around for thousands of years, and beer can actually be good for us. Yes. So tell us about your beer. It sounds so weird because I know you so well and it just doesn't sound right. Tell me about your beer.
Again, it was a bit of a shock for me too, because, you know, coming from the sort of the health, the sports, etc., you don't really see that beer would be part of that whole brand. But I have to say, I actually love it. It's such fun, and actually learning to brew your own beer, it's like being a chef in the kitchen. You know, you sort of, it's really fun. And I'm experimenting with making a ginger beer at the moment, and you know, you can make anything. We've made sort of beer with elderflower. It's really, really good. So so basically, I took over a brewery that's been going since 2001, and one of the things that Steve Skews did, which I have to admire and respect, is that he, even when he was short of money, he didn't compromise on his ingredients. He wanted it to be really top, high level quality beer, no nasties, no chemicals, and he'd set up the brewery to run through a reed filtration system to go naturally back into the environment, so that there was no damage whatsoever on the environment. Absolutely brilliant the way he set it up. And that really, when I knew how environmental it was, that it was organic, that it was vegan, I was just like, wow, I have to get this out there. I have to get other people aware of this, because, you know, there's such poor quality synthetic chemical stuff on the market, and it doesn't do anyone any good. All it does is strip your body of nutrients. And, you know, again, it goes back to, if you're going to drink, at least drink good quality products. And so anyway, I decided to sort of call one of the national chains and see about getting the beer into one of the supermarkets. Now, coming from a very small brewery that wasn't dealing with a national chain, you think, is that really going to be possible? And anyway, when I got talking to them, the person happened to be a celiac. He's the head of the groceries, and he was really interested in the beer. So I was like, great, okay, let's move things along, send the beer to them, etc., let them taste it. And then I got asked to talk for the Vegan Society at the Free From show last July at Olympia. And I got out of bed, no lie, at 2 o'clock in the morning. I only got to bed at 12. And that night before I left, I was milking one of our goats because she had over-engorged, you know, and she needed some help. And I was sort of doing that before bed. And then I get up at 2 and I drive to London. I get to Olympia about 30 minutes before my talk, do a talk, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that went well, because obviously lack of sleep, driving, etc. And in my talk, I happened to have 2 Free From buyers from national supermarkets, and I mentioned about the beer and the association with health, and it's important about the organic, Free From, etc. So they both spoke to me afterwards, and now I've got a deal with one of them that starts next month, and then in a couple of months we move into another chain, and then a couple of months after that we go into another. So now we're talking a small business becoming a multi-million-pound enterprise. But it just shows you how many people now care about gluten-free, which is quite obviously, gluten can cause brain problems, and vegan. So it's no animals being harmed whatsoever, all natural. And that's what people want now, and that's really made me really happy, because, you know, yes, I'm you know, the whole business is great, and I've got investors, obviously, and so I have to make money back for them. But actually, what has really made me excited about it is that it will be on the shelves with all these other synthetic chemical beers, and people will have choice. And that's really tickled my boat.
And just on that, because the reason why I want to answer this question is to show that the products that we're sharing with people are free from. There's no junction, no chemicals, and it really is free from the crap that is doing a lot of people's bodies and minds a lot of problems. And we're now starting to see that in the studies and what's happening humanity across the world, where we look at certain people's lifestyles. Now, it is a hard industry to get in, because we understand that you can go synthetic, which means that you can cut your costs down and you can increase your profit margins by such a big amount. Now, one of the things that I loved is when we had a conversation last week and you said, these are the projections for the first year. Now, I don't know if you're allowed to share that figure with people, but if you are, I want people to understand that when I say the extremes are separating, they really are, because there are so many people waking up to this. I want to choose a healthy lifestyle. I want to actually make sure that what I'm putting in my body is actually going to serve me. I'm just not eating out of convenience or drinking out of convenience. I'm actually making conscious choices. And there's no doubt that people who buy your beer, your cocktails, they're making conscious choices, because you've learned from all people's mistakes and you put it all into, into your beer and into this book. So people don't have to make these mistakes anymore. They know that if they go with you, they're at least making an investment that's not just good for them, it is actually good for the animals and good for the planet as well. So from a business perspective, to show that it's not just weird hippies trying to launch products on the market that people aren't into, what are the first year's predictions?
33 million.
Boom.
That's one of the supermarkets. That's not even the 3 that we've got. That's just one. So,
one supermarket, 33 million. And this is pounds. This is not euros. This is not dollars. This is pounds.
I know. But that's free from. It pays to actually do what you really believe. I mean, I am, yes, I'm a vegan. Yes, I'm, have an animal sanctuary and all these things. But I'm still very business at the end of the day. And I couldn't get into a product and sell something that wasn't aligned with my beliefs. That wasn't, someone could offer me a contract worth twice as much as that. If it was non-vegan, I couldn't do it. I just wouldn't believe that I was serving myself, and it would bother me night and day. So for me, I'm happy that I'm able to create a really, really good product that people want, that our branding is amazing. We've created stories on our bottles from the Bayer Tapestry about 1066, William the Conqueror. So there's all a little theme with it. But it's all really good ingredients. And yes, it does cost us way more to make than a normal brewery would, but I'm not going to compromise on that, because it's important to me to have good products. And as you can see, with a 33 million contract from one supermarket, there's enough profit for my children, my family to live happily ever after, plus allow me to donate to the charities I support, to do the things I want to do. So I don't need to squeeze every last cent out of people by let's use really terrible malt and let's use that, non-vegan ingredients, which actually ends up being a lot cheaper because you can buy it in bulk.
Well, this is something I really believe in. You're talking about not compromising ingredients, not compromising on the way that you're actually producing the product. And it comes down to the standards that you want to live with. And what I've learned going around the world is there's been a lot of non-truth around money. There's been a lot of non-truth around the deals that people are doing with each other. And I found, especially in the corporate world, and I get pulled into, like you do, I get pulled into some of the most amazing environments, and how I get brought in, I get to see what's going on from a bird's eye point of view. And I'm like, this is crazy. People aren't communicating with truth anymore. And that means that even when we go and buy a product, we think we're buying something, but what we're actually getting isn't what we think we're getting. With food, you see a lot of pictures on processed food, which has pictures of real food on it. So that when you eat it, you think you're eating real food, but it's all processed stuff that was made in a factory. And this happens with a lot of drinks as well. Yeah. And at least with what you're going to be serving when it comes to like the beer, they know that what they're getting is the truth. There's a fair exchange. There's truth has been brought back in the game. And that's why, there isn't anyone I can think of around the world that deserves this deal like you deserve it. Because a lot of people, when it comes to, the push and the shove, it's like me. I've had so much pressure to compromise on certain ingredients or certain ways, like even with our supplements, where we don't heat press ours, we cold press them. Now that costs us just that one thing costs us so much more to do.
Yeah, but it's important. Yeah.
It's invaluable.
I think if you are in business and you don't compromise on, as you said, the high standards to make a quick buck, and you don't step on people to get what you want, then it comes back tenfold. I mean, you know, I've worked all my life and I've pushed and pushed, but I've never compromised on what I believe. And I think if you keep on that path, at some point, you're going to get a bit lucky. And that's how I see it. You know, if I hadn't got up at 2 o'clock in the morning after milking the goats and whatever, and did that for free for the Vegan Society, I would never have met those people. So sometimes you think, oh, I'm not going to do something unless someone gives me something in return. But if we all thought like that, nothing would ever, you know, get traded. I mean, I believe in, you know, you were saying about empathy being the trade. I sort of look at it a little bit like this, is that money has zero value, okay? Zero value. If I was in a trade with a monkey and he had bananas and I had my cash and I said to that monkey, can you give me those bananas because I'm hungry and I'm going to give you this? He's going to look at it and say, well, hang on a minute, I can't eat it. I can't wear it. No, you kidding? I'm keeping my bananas. So it's about utilizing it as a tool, not making your whole life be about it. Now, mostly at the farm, I trade off. So that's the beauty of making beer, is that everyone wants beer. So they trade you, oh, hang on, I'll fix that. Can you give me beer in exchange for that? Or I'll do the horses and the ponies and the donkey shoes in exchange for beer. And I think when you can actually trade off, and you realize that is actually more valuable, that's a currency. Money is not a currency, it's a tool. So that, I think, because I'm not caught up with the whole money thing, I think that's helped me.
100%. It's you know, first of all, and I've learned this about life. Life wants you to put yourself out there. Life wants you to get in the game, not to sit on, you know, on the sidelines, actually watching and commenting on what other people are doing, actually being in it. And what I've learned is that, I think it was Jim Rohn said this, you know, the secret of living is giving. And when you're really in that position where you just want to give, suddenly what comes back is tenfold. And quite often you can't even imagine what's going to come back. I mean, you know, people understand this, please. You know, she woke up early in the morning, you know, she was like, you know, milking a goat. She drove from France to England to do a talk for free. And it just happened to be at the Free From show, with the intention of, I just want to give. I just want to, you know, share what I've got with the world. And you never could have dreamed that, you know, literally 6 months later, probably less than 6 months later, the first projections for just one company that you're doing business with is 33 million. But yet, if you didn't go and give that talk for free, you wouldn't have known what you was missing.
Yeah.
And just talking on that subject of giving stuff away, I know that you said before this, I've got a giveaway for your people at Supercharge Live. So please tell us what's the giveaway going to be?
Yes, well, I'm happy to donate some of my Wonder Cocktail books to you, to give to some of the people that attend your event. I would love to actually come myself, and hopefully that'll be possible. But if not, at least you can have some of my products, and maybe I'll send you some beer as well. So it might not be, you know, suitable during the actual event, because I know it's all about connecting with your body, etc. But at least afterwards, maybe they'll settle down for a quick drink. You know, like you said about the giving, I think one of the things that's really important to me is also the charity aspect. And it doesn't matter how busy I am, I always make sure I've got time for some of the charities that I'm an ambassador for. And one of them, you know, is called Spark Inside, which do phenomenal work with prisoners. Now, everyone sort of says, oh, well, you committed the crime, you know, now it's time to do the time. Now, people don't realize what other people have gone through in their lives. You know, maybe they didn't have the support system. Maybe their parents weren't there because they broke up and one's working 3 jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. And kids, when they haven't got anyone to sort of keep them on track, end up making silly mistakes, because that's what happens. That's life. But sometimes these silly mistakes lead them to go to prison. And one of the things that I did in December, I went to the Clink restaurant in Brixton. They have a restaurant within the prison, and they had 4 vegan options on the menu, which was incredible because you can't even get that in a normal restaurant if you went to a normal restaurant, not a vegan one. But I love the work that they're doing because they really are trying to help these kids by coaching, professional coaching, to change their lives so that when they come out, they've got something to look forward to. That's why everything I have is about wonder, because if you haven't got wonder, if you haven't got hope, you don't believe that there's anything out there for you. And I feel that the more places that you go, the more things that you taste, the more experiences that you have, the happier you'll be, and you'll have a long life. And unfortunately for some, it doesn't happen like that, which is why, like, my talk at VegFest in February is about suicide and food, the relationship between suicide and food. And that obviously is suicide and drink, because whatever we drink, whatever we eat, affects depression, it affects people to commit suicide. And you think, how can someone be that sad and that depressed to end their life because they see that's the only option that they've got? And so that's why, for me, those sort of areas are important, because I want people to understand that when you're feeling depressed and that, it's probably not anything actually that's going on in your life. There might be little things that triggers, but it's because you're so polluted with all the toxins that your brain cannot understand the true feelings from the feeling so bad about yourself. So the sooner people actually get rid of all the junk food from their system and come back to homeostasis, they'll realize, actually, I wasn't suffering from depression at all. It was just the junk I was eating. And they'll realize that actually they have hope, they have wonder, they have a future. So I just thought I'd throw that bit in.
Amazing. No, thank you for that, because it really shows us, we've gone through different things that you're connected with in life, and one of the key things is giving back. And that's why we're doing this giveaway January. And as part of that, you have definitely added serious value. I mean, this has been, I could carry on talking to you for hours and hours and hours. I find you so interested, and I have no doubt that the people listening will find inspiration within this. I really want people to understand that the shift is now happening, and the shift is in healthy alternatives. Really, when it comes to not just your food, but when it comes to drink, alcohol, beer, when you see it on the shelves out there, please go and try one. I mean, I've literally drunk about 6 beers in my entire lifetime. So I'm quite curious to try one of these beers, because every time I've ever drunk one in the past, it's like, forget it. My whole body is just I don't think so.
Be your thing. I mean, it's, not, if you're not a beer drinker, you probably won't really want it, even though it tastes good, but it's because, you're either a beer drinker or not. But it's for people that do drink beer, I want them to have at least a better option for them. And for those people that drink cocktails, again, there's non-alcoholic ones in there, but it's more that if you do drink, great, but do realize that Smirnoff, there is a difference between Smirnoff and Grey Goose and some of the other really good vodkas, that it's not just the price, it's health benefits.
Absolutely. And I want people to get that contrast where they can mix up one of your cocktails, because until they try a cocktail without all the junk in it, they're not going to have the comparison. As soon as they actually mix one up and they try it and they get hands on with doing it, and they can have a, little sort of house cocktail party all at the same time, and they try it, then their body's going to talk to them when they go back and they try the other way. So I think you found not just a niche. I think you keep finding so many of these niches, and please keep doing what you're doing. I do hope that you have a free weekend in your diary to come down yourself. If not, people are watching this and listening, there are going to be a handful of our books at that event that we are going to give away. And apart from that, April, you're an angel. Keep doing what you're doing. You're an amazing mum. You're an amazing speaker. You're one of the amazing people who's walking this planet. And I don't say that lightly. I really do mean that. So thank you for giving us your time for this.
Thank you.
And me and you will be speaking very soon anyway. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.